people that waited in line just to share this experience of Venom, Candyman, Night of the Living Dead, The Rock, Final Destination. But I want you to know you are now entering the
Cinema
Chop Shop with a top and the pop boom boom bop.
The Cinema Chop Shop.
What's going on, everybody? It's David from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop. So park your ass right there, and while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button. And guess what, everybody? I'm back. I know it's been a while, but hey, I gave you guys some time away to miss my face, I guess. Anyway, let's get back onto the reviews. So I went to go see a movie called Marshmallow, and this movie is directed by a man named Daniel Del Purgatorio. Right? That sounds like a crazy ass name. It sounds like you're about to get into something crazy. And you kind of do with this damn movie. Anyway, to the point. I saw this movie on a listing because I thought Sinners came out this week. So I'm looking at the listing for Fandango and I'm like, you know what? Let's see if Sinners comes out this week. So I'm looking. I'm like, oh no, it didn't come out. Let's just glance and see what's in the movie theaters this week. And one of the movies was Marshmallow. And I'm like, that poster looks a little retro. Like it looks a little 80s, you know what I'm saying? It was like non-rated or whatever, and I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and watch the trailer. So I watched the trailer, and I'm like, okay, the trailer is screaming 80s vibes. You feeling like I'm feeling very summer of '84ish. If you guys haven't seen that movie, that's an amazing movie. You should watch it. I was like, okay, this feels a little sleepaway campish, Friday the 13th-ish. You know, at times the trailer felt like Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, you know what? Like, you can't go wrong with this. Let me go ahead and check this out, right? So me and my wife went to go watch it at a late screening last night, and this movie has an ensemble of cast members that, honestly, I don't know any of them. I know one of them apparently is from the TED show, like the TED TV series about the damn teddy bear that talks shit. What's it, Seth Rogen's shit? Anyway, to the point. Quick synopsis. So this movie is about a young boy who goes off to camp. He experiences like something tragic at his house or whatever. He ends up going on a camping trip, and then things go a little bit south. Now, if you watch the trailer makes it feel like a whodunit / slasher, but that's going to be a conversation for later. But anyway, it ends up being, it's considered like a horror sci-fi kind of thrillerish type deal. I would kind of throw it more in the sci-fi horror area versus a slasher. The trailer makes you feel like it's a slasher, but it's definitely not. I can 100% guarantee that. But let's go ahead and get into some of the pros. So one of the pros is, honestly, this movie has some great cinematography. So the shots in the movie were really good. Overhead shots. You had some really good angles going on there. But then also had like this little retro grainy look. And I felt like the movie was taking place in the 80s, but it was actually taking place in modern day, which kind of threw me for a loop because I was like, then why does it have this like retro ass 80s look? But then I kind of think I figured it out by the end of the movie, but that's a conversation for another day. The cast in this movie is fun. You know, you got like the young kids. It feels very it-ish. It feels very summer 84ish. It feels very Goonie-ish, the Goonie-ish. And it just feels like that ensemble of young kids coming together and getting into trouble and shit, and then also trying to solve like a mystery or, you know, just trying to get out of trouble. So the cast was really fun. Again, as I mentioned earlier before, like that 80s vibe. I love movies that feel like they are plotted or they're just dropped in the 80s. The 80s, that's a fun era. Like some of those movies are some of the best damn movies out there, and they don't even have to be super creative. They don't have to be creative at all. And they're just fun to watch. It's just something to sit down with, eat some popcorn, and have fun. And this is exactly one of those type of movies. The movie it's a good story. It's a solid story. I think the story was really good. Is it great? No, but it's a really good story. And it also has a very good twist at the end of the movie, which I think adds to the plot because it makes the movie a little bit more unpredictable. The one thing I hate is when I watch a movie and I'm feeling like I can predict the next step. At some points, yeah, you can predict it, but that third act to me came freaking out of nowhere. And yeah, it threw me for a loop. So kudos for them. And that's another thing that added to this movie. The third act. The third act of this movie was really fantastic because you sat there and you wanted answers. It encouraged you to want answers. And then it was one of those things where you finally got the answer. You were like, okay, I'm satisfied with that. I hate when I watch a movie and I crave for answers and either A, you don't get it. Like, you get those with a lot of Cronenberg movies. Or then B, what ends up happening is they give you a half-ass answer. I don't like that. This movie, I felt like it gave you a really good answer. The score in the movie was cool. It has like this really like John Carpenter esque electronic sound. And if you guys are if you're familiar with like The Guest or you're familiar with like Summer of '84, it has like that synth wave type sound to it, which I always like that. And they also use the music to kind of like intensify the mood. So I thought that was a really cool touch as well too. This movie does a lot of callbacks to classic horror movies. You got, it feels like Sleepaway Camp at times. Any freaking movie, The Burning, Friday the 13th, any movie that you've seen at a campsite, this movie kind of like borrows from it. It you can kind of sense it from that movie. But then also it makes you feel like Nightmare on Elm Street at times because there's like a couple dream sequences in the movies that feel like they feel very Freddy Krueger-ish, you know? And I thought that was really interesting the way that they did it. The practical effects in some of those scenes were really cool too. Some of the practical effects, there was one practical effect where I was just like, nyeh. Like I thought that was pretty meh. Somebody gets their leg hurt and I felt like it looked really fake. But other than that, the practical effects and everything else was really, really good. But I can't really complain about the whole bad practical effects because at least it wasn't CGI. I'll take bad practical over CGI any day. Even great CGI. I'll take bad practical over great CGI any freaking day of the week. This movie feels like it feels like it's a part of the Twilight Zone or something. Like it feels like it can be an episode of the Twilight Zone. If you guys or Goosebumps or something, it feels like it could be in one of those horror anthology TV series from back in the day. And I mean that's a good thing to me. I think it was a fantastic thing. Let's go into some of the cons though. Some of the things that I didn't like about the movie. The movie at times felt really long-winded. It felt like it took a while to get to where it was going. You had some scenes where you're dealing with the kids and the kids are kind of talking. You're just like, okay, where the fuck is this going? Like you guys are kind of just talking, and I feel like this plot is going somewhere, but we ain't got there yet, and it feels like we're kind of taking a while to get there. Also, this movie lacks tension. At some times, like there's this antagonist that was kind of portrayed in the trailer, and dude doesn't really show up throughout most of the movie, and it's like, well, I was kind of assuming that this would be the tension that was in the movie, and we kind of don't get that. The only tension that we really get in this movie is created through specific type of sequences, and I kind of don't want to talk about that because I feel like it might give away too much. But these sequences are very brooding, they're very dark, they're very ominous, and they really set the mood. Those are the scenes that create the tension. I mean, also there's some conflict between the campers or whatever, but to me it's not built on enough to the point where you feel like something's gonna come from it. Like if you guys have ever watched like Sleepaway Camp and you see that one dude who was an asshole in the movie and all of a sudden he fucking dies, you know, you don't get that with this movie. Which is another thing. I kind of feel like this movie lacked blood, even though I know why. Like once you get to the end of the movie, you're like, okay, this is why people didn't die in the movie. But when you watch the trailer, you're kind of like baited to think that this movie was a slasher. And it's definitely not. It's far from a slasher. It's not a slasher at all. But it feels like it would be a slasher. And then also, again, the lack of the antagonist. This antagonist that's on the poster. This antagonist that's like on the trailers. You think that this person's going to be like a central focus of the movie. But he's not really. He doesn't really show up much at all. You know? So it kind of upset me because I felt like he should have made his presence known throughout the film, and then maybe like the kid feels like he's going crazy, nobody wants to believe him, so on and so forth, and then you have a couple kids get picked off or some shit like that, and really build that tension, or have kids kind of disappear, and you really build that tension. He feels like a non-fucking factor throughout this movie, until you get to the end, and you're like, all right, cool, he's here, but it's just like he kind of pops up and he starts doing his work, and you're just like, well, finally you fucking showed up. This movie could come off as really cheesy at times. Some of the acting comes off as bad. I don't know if that's done purposely to feel like that retro 80s vibe. It doesn't bother me, but for some people it might bother because if you're not in tune with that 80s stuff. Like I know like more modern audiences don't like that purposeful bad acting. I think it doesn't bother me again, but like for some people it might bother them. They might not like it. It might rub them the wrong way. They might like, oh, their acting is fucking terrible, you know. But me, it doesn't really bother me like that. So it comes off as cheesy. Some of the kids curse a lot, and sometimes it feels a little forced. But you know, it is what it is. Again, as what I said, missing blood. I already talked about that. But I really wish. My last critique is I really wish this was a slasher. I feel like if this was a slasher, it kind of would have cranked it up a little bit, you know. But the second movie, if they do get the second movie, I feel like it could be a little bit more bloody. It could be a little bit more slasherous, and I think that's a solid look. So hopefully they make enough money so that they can actually make the sequel. I think that'll be really, really cool if they could get around to it. But I'm still kind of confused by the title. I mean, I have an idea or a thought. I don't know if the title's supposed to be metaphoric or if it's supposed to be like something to deal with the movie. Or something to deal with the plot. But I kind of don't want to go into it again because I don't want to go into spoiler territory. But for this movie to be like something that went under the radar and I haven't heard anything about it, I'm pretty sure that this movie was done with a super low budget and it's not backed by some big ass studio. It's not even backed by Shudder. I thought it would probably be backed by Shudder or what is it, XYZ Films or whatever, and it's not. You know, this is like some straight up independent, like, hey man, like film festival shit, and I'm here for it because I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. If I had to give this movie like a grade, I'm looking at like a B minus area. I think the movie was really solid. I think the only thing that is missing is like some sort of tension. I feel like the antagonist should have been more prevalent throughout the film. I feel like he was kind of missing, and that made it a little bit lackluster at times. I feel like some of the things were a little bit long-winded, especially the dialogue and the conflict with the kids. It kind of went on a little bit too long and kind of led nowhere also. But again, when you get to this third act, though, I feel like it pays off for everything because at the end of the day, like I've kind of not seen a movie that's like this before. I've never seen anything like that really, or at least not off the top of my head. Maybe I can come up with something later, but as of right now, I don't think I've seen anything like that. And kudos to them, you know, hand clap. But anyway, I enjoyed this movie. If you guys get a chance to go to the theaters and go watch something, and it's playing at your movie theater, go ahead and watch it, man. Support independent filmmakers because these are the people that go and make films that, you know, they're passion projects. And they go out and they make sure that they go do the things that they love to do, and I feel like we should support them. I mean, you know, tickets was a little expensive because it was a late night viewing, but at the end of the day, if it goes to somebody that's chasing their dreams, then I'm all for it. So that's all I got. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. Go ahead and watch the trailer. Whenever you guys get a chance, go ahead and check out the trailer. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys can spare a couple bucks and go watch it, go for it. If you guys ever run across it on streaming, stream it. You know, I think it's worth your time. But anyway, that's all I got. Let me know if you agree or disagree, whatever the case may be. Drop it in the comment section down below. And you're now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. I hope you guys are having a great day. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'm back. Adios.
I want to play a game. Subscribe now. The choice is yours. You're now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop.